You can't win everything. We're naturally prepared to lose some fights, and sometimes things don't go your way at all. If you are like me and you find fun and enjoyment in invasions, then you have to be prepared for the fact that not every invasion is gonna be an honorable 1v1 duel. You have to be prepared to see more than one person, maybe a knave host trying to progress through the game with his neighbor. But you also have to be prepared to see a host with multiple hostile phantoms camping the spawn point, ready to mash you down as soon as you pop up. I've been on both ends of the equation, and I can tell you that overwhelming a poor black phantom is not even remotely as fun as coming out as a winner in 1v3 situation. In fact, overcoming the odds is probably the best feeling that you can experience in Dark Souls PvP. If you have enjoyed doing invasions in, say, Dark Souls 3, but you're new to Dark Souls 1, you have to be cautious, because this game is way more hardcore, and that hardcoreness gets multiplied when you're facing multiple opponents. Today I want to share some invasion tips with you, some little strategic snippets that some of you may find obvious, but to others it might serve as a helpful reminder. So let's begin. My very first tip would be to just not give up. I can assure you that if you're facing more than one person in a fight, there is practically zero chance of you coming out victorious if your opposition is even remotely decent, because in Dark Souls 1 and Remaster, you can punish the backstab with a backstab. In 1v1 situations, you don't really have to be cautious about it, since there is no second phantom to backstab you while you backstab the host, but it becomes a big, huge, giant pain in the ass when you are ganked. Technically, just based on how the game works, your chances are super slim, but that doesn't mean that they're zero, which brings us to my next tip. If you want to live, you'll have to bite. Don't hesitate to use anything that is at your disposal. The moment you get put in 1 versus X situation, all the honor bullshit goes right out of the window, and you're forced to play rough and tough. Always keep an upgraded Estus, since it's the only healing item that is available in Dark Souls Remastered multiplayer. At the same time, keep an eye on your opponent. If they decide to use Estus outside of the cover, punish them with a backstab or something better. Speaking of covers, don't hesitate to use the environment. Hiding behind enemies, sure. Abusing the gravity, absolutely. Leading the host to the ledge so you can kick them. Yes sir, you have to know the area that you're invading, and you have to be able to use the environment and every little gimmick to your advantage. All these invisible ledges in the forest, yes, something like that. It may seem useless, but if the host doesn't know how to get there, you can get a free save heal up there, which is a luxury. If the fight looks tough, try to break the distance, run away, hide and wait for backup. There is nothing dishonorable about waiting for a fellow Dark Wraith to help you with the gank. 2 versus 3 is a much better situation than 1 versus 3, especially if you manage to make the host forget about you, ensuring that you will be up for a surprise attack once the backup arrives. More often than not, you can rely on a random black phantom to team up with you against the gang, so there is no need to over-explain your intentions to anyone who's trying to aid you. Speaking of consumables, it doesn't hurt to keep the moss ready. You never know when you will need to cleanse the bleed buildup, and the green grass is an absolute must, since you are up to expect a good chunk of running in 1 versus X situations. Now the last item on my list would be something like Alluring Skulls. While it isn't that useful in 99% of situations, if you get to face a mage, it can save you, since it will delay the pursuers and other homing spells, giving you some room to work with. Oh, and yes, fairly obvious, but I still have to mention it, Lloyd's Talismans are a must. Make sure to practice some free aim throwing so you can nail it from afar. Once it procs, it prevents the host and the phantoms from healing, which is super useful. Next up, we talk mechanics. Due to how the game works in 1vx situations, you have to rely on chunk damage as opposed to chip damage. So in other words, be ready to do a lot of damage in 1 or 2 hits. This means that you're bound to rely on backstabs more than on anything else, and it comes with a price. Backstabs are very easy to score, but they're very dangerous, since the other phantom can just punish you once you finish the backstab animation. What about your other options? Well, something like Darkbeat works just fine. Experiment with it and see what works for you. Maybe it's gonna be Great Combustion or Wrath of the Gods. Just make sure that it is something that deals a lot of damage in few hits. What about combos, you may ask? Well, I don't think they're viable. You can't really rely on combos in 1 versus X situations, because your poise will very likely be broken within just a few seconds. When it comes to magic, my recommendation would be to keep the Crystal Soul Spear ready, since it is super useful in 2 vs X situations. As for Pyromancy, keeping a Fire Tempest ready for when your opposition hits the stairs is great. Even outside of the clever environment abuse, Fire Tempest is excellent for crowd control, so keep that in mind. There's no best advice for when it comes to target prioritization. Some people prefer to chase the host exclusively, others take the phantoms one by one and then duel the host. If you want to get rid of the phantoms first, try to always prioritize the phantom with least amount of health. You can usually tell how much health they have by the build they're running. Obviously, a guy with the Mask of Mother is going to have more health than the guy without it. With that being said, if you want my advice, just go for the host. People tend to act tough and do stupid things when they feel the advantage, and there's always a chance for host to resummon the phantoms if you let him live. Speaking of stats, it is very important to count the poise, so you get to know whether you can stagger them or not. Obviously, counting the poise is a crucial part of target evaluation in dueling, but it is a lot more important during invasions, since most of the players tend to have unoptimized setups, so you'll have to know what they're running by just looking at their setup. If you got ally on your side, try to separate the host and their phantoms. Take 2 phantoms each, try to do something to grab their attention, making it easier for the other black phantom to deal with the host, thus increasing your total chances to survive the encounter. Speaking of encounters, make sure to have something quick that can be used to finish off the opposition. Something like Fire Surge works really well, and the last thing you want is a phantom popping some Astas with only 10 health left. When it comes to gear, it's all up to you what kind of chunk damage dealing tool you prefer the most. I personally enjoy using backstab sticks, so something like Crystal Great Club is my kind of jam. But when it comes to rings, it's pretty damn straightforward. Wolf Ring in case you need more poise. Darkwood Grain Ring for wake-ups, since it is a lot easier to escape the heat with damn flip rolls. Hornet Ring for critical damage, and the Red Tearstone Ring for the max mode shenanigans. If you feel like doing some gimmicky stuff, you can include rings like Fog Ring just for the fun of it. My best advice when it comes to ring setups would be to just hot swap the rings depending on situation. In most cases, I'd recommend you to invade with Darkwood Grain Ring on, since you never know what is happening on the spawn, and having extra iframes to avoid all the spawn chaos is crucial. Once the situation is stabilized, you can swap it to the Hornet Ring or any other ring of your choice. Rings aside, you have to be ready for the TWAP, the miracle we all love and enjoy using. So pack a good shield with you, as good as your strength allows you to wield, and make sure to hold it in 2 hands for the maximum stability. Something like Great Shield of Arthurius is good enough to keep you alive for the duration of TWAP. Then you can swap your gear back. It's not perfect, but that's the only option really. Now my last tip is probably the most important one. You have to always be able to keep control over whatever is happening in their world. And when I say keep control, I mean you have to know everything so you can plan ahead. Expect a lot of unlocked play and free aim camera work. You have to be able to see who's doing what. Try to always keep the camera on your opponent, even if it means free aiming the camera outside of the lock-on distance. The last thing you want is you losing the sight of some pesky phantom and being surprised stabbed by them. No matter what you do, always have it planned several steps ahead. Have a plan B and a plan C. For example, if you're using a mage setup with soul spears and whatnot, you never know if they will pop a great magic barrier or have a good shield for that occasion, so you always have to have some spare tools readily available to you. In this example, if they pop the magic barrier, be ready to wipe out something like Chaos Rapier or Chaos Bandit Knife and you're good to go. If you're invading in the area you know really well, don't be shy to plan your invasions. As I've said, use the environment. There's nothing shameful in elevatoring the host to death for the billionth time. Well, it is kind of shameful, but for the host obviously. With all the tips out of the way, we can finally talk soul levels, builds, and locations. Generally, the higher you go in soul level, the more sophisticated your build becomes. You obviously get a lot more room for creativity when you have 100 stat points to invest, as opposed to only 50. However, the higher you go in soul level, the higher your opponents will be, since the game uses soul level for the matchmaking. So if you ask me, the higher you go, the better the players are, the more cancerous gangs become. Your chances of meeting a 3-man squad with all the bells and whistles at say SL200 are much higher than at say soul level 50, so keep that in mind. If you want to face PvE players, I'd suggest you park your build at around soul level 55. The best setup in this case would be something like pure vitality and endurance build that utilizes purely elemental weapons. As for locations, I suggest you go and try your luck at Anor Londo. Your chances to meet someone there are pretty good. If you want to fight more experienced players that primarily duel, get yourself to soul level 120 and try to invade in Township. And well, at SL 200 in area like Forest, you're bound to meet bunch of ninja flipping Havel mums with TWOP. If that's your thing, then you know where to go. Finally, I'd like to recommend you some YouTube and Twitch channels to satisfy your need for cool invasion montages and all the fancy stuff. I'll leave all the links in the description below. So that's about it. My tip roundup for those of you who enjoy invasions and want some strategical advice on how to approach it. If you're new to Dark Souls Remastered, this video should be very helpful, and if you're a veteran, feel free to leave your tips in the comment section below. I'll do my best to like the most useful ones. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.